I really like working for myself, and I don't think that I can ever go to being employed by like another person or entity again. I don't think I can.
Fuck yeah. It's
Yeah,
once you've tasted it,
yeah, it changes everything.
and Harbor Freight is your friend.
Harbor Freight's my friend.
This
So
keeps
is
coming up.
I love Harbor Freight. It's like my favorite thing about America.
Yes.
Dude, I got their little quarter-inch driver set. It's called the meme tool. If you search on their site even for the meme tool, I use that thing fucking every day. I'm now a Harbor Freight shill. We are being paid by Harbor Freight. Use code ArtandWar10 for nothing. It probably won't work. If it does work, it's got nothing to do with me, but I wish it did because I love Harbor Freight.
It is so Chinese and so American at the same time.
At the same time.
You're listening to the Art and More podcast with your hosts, Nathan and B.R. Nathan is a Canadian illustrator with a couple years of military experience, and B.R. is a British anarchist that moved to the States. Both are passionate shooters and community builders. Together, they run the Seaburn art page. Enjoy the show.
You can stop being a non-combatant with your carrot night vision.
With your carrot night vision, you fucking poor ass.
Are you picky about tube specs, or are you okay with a set of Anvis?
Fuck no, dude. First of all, lower your voice.
First of all, will be at your door in 5 minutes.
Thus far, only one member of this show has had contact with and it is not me, and it is not Nathan.
Right.
Anyway, let's move on.
Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, either way, to anyone listening, at some point soon, we are going to be doing the very important, very philanthropic. We're as the Art and War, we've dabbled in charity before. We have, I want to say, done some very good things for people. Remember when we did that charity drive to help get service animals for veterans with PTSD?
That was cool.
Yeah, I think I'm going to jerk ourselves off a little bit for that. I'm going to say we're about to do possibly a more important and just an overall better for humanity fundraising drive very soon
noble.
With some very noble. We're very good people, and we're going to sell some merchandise and basically whore ourselves a little to buy BR a set of night vision. Against his will.
Base.
Against my... Yeah, you really have to fight me. You're gonna help a European see, like, stargaze while tripping balls.
Former
Incredible.
European. No ITAR violations here, motherfucker.
Yes. No relation to Europe anymore. Just this the funny way I talk.
The
all
amount of
legal
people who
purposes,
ask, like, oh...
They're photonist tubes.
The amount of people who ask, like, okay, you're the American. BR, where's he from? Ireland? Like...
Confused.
Yeah. Even now, like, with how many episodes, a lot of people don't realize you're just fucking in America. You are American. You've always been an American.
Dude, I've had... People have asked, like, where I'm from, and it has been as broad as Germany to Australia to... I mean, you remember when I was asked if I was German. You were there.
Yeah. I like, Felix has a German accent. You do not have a fucking German accent.
What?
I hope this doesn't register as German. There was a whole war fought. Not about this, but... Anyway, we should probably introduce our guest, Nathan.
Yes, today we have, and I've talked about you on the show before. You are consistently, and whenever I have to describe you, you are one of the most, if not the most interesting person I've ever had the fortune of meeting. We have Mr. Aaron Loveless of Loveless Performance, who half the things I want to talk about are, again, covered by an NDA of some kind.
Oh, shit. I wish I could.
We'll work around it.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, the second time I ever met Mr. Loveless here, he pulls up in a right-hand drive Overlander Japanese SUV of some kind with a Raytheon thermal unit on top, like a scanning and panning thing that made your car look like a Gundam. And you get out of the car with your wife, and immediately, in my hands, I am presented both a Dragunov and a grenade launcher. Like, yes, fucking based.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. Allegedly.
This, right, first of all, thank you for joining us, Aaron.
Yes.
Happy
Thank
to
you
be
for
here.
coming. We're long overdue.
But this is one of my most favorite traditions of like any kind of art and war meetup that I will never ever tire of, and that is the age-old American tradition of, "Hi, nice to meet you. Here's a weapon. Here's another weapon. I present to you another weapon. Also, here's my backup."
Yes.
Oh, and there's 3 more weapons in my trunk for you to look at. It's just,
But
it's beautiful.
by the way, a meteor crashed. I bought it and then cut it into a god killer. I want to say, like, I don't know what you call that gun. You
The
for
space cowboy.
context here, the space cowboy. For context here, Aaron got his hands on an actual, honest to god meteor, cut it apart, and turned it into a single action 44 Magnum revolver.
Well,
That's
44
fucking
cap and ball,
gorgeous.
but still sort of cool.
Cap, still.
Yeah.
It's still very cool. Like, you ever see Preacher? I think I asked that before. Just the gun that can kill literally anything. Like, I think if I had to go kill, I don't know, Satan tomorrow, that is the gun I would take with me. Not an 11.5 Geisley, not like a Mark 19. I would probably take the Space Cowboy.
I can't take full credit for that. I did sort of yank that idea from Cabot Arms. Good friend of mine, Art.
They're cool.
We're sitting down drinking one day, and I think that's shortly after those came out. And he shows me an article, Guns from Space, these 2 beautiful 1911s that are machined completely out of meteorite. Oh, I need those so bad. Look at the price. They're $4.5 million. Well, yeah,
Holy fuck.
I start thinking, I could do that. So I start shopping for meteorites, and they're just outrageously
Go to
expensive.
the start of the process.
Yeah, I start at the bottom, looking at different grades of material. Of course, there's a million different meteorite falls from around the world, ranging from anywhere from 25 cents a gram up to $100, $200 a gram. But anyway, what I ended up doing is I went with the same material that they use. It's called Gibeon meteorite from Namibia, Africa. It's got a super tight grain structure and an alloy that's similar to stainless steel. So I proceed to take 3 years of time machining that thing and finding out that, okay, I guess I need to buy a 3D scanner so I can 3D scan the stone, figure out where all the shit fits inside. Oh, this is really hard to machine. I guess I have to buy an EDM machine. Oh, it just hiccup after hiccup after hiccup machining this thing. And then the engraver, that took about a year to get back from them. But anyway, it was a fucking process, to say the least. And I think that's how you and I initially met, right, Nathan?
Yes. You sent me a message being like, hey, you're going to be at SHOT Show. Check out this cool gun, which to anyone who's listening to this, that is how you get my fucking attention. Like, genuinely. We met in a parking lot so you could show me this gun, and it was awesome.
I've been a long-time listener, and I don't know, I was in the area anyway for the Vegas motorcycle auction. Figured, hey, Nathan's going to be there. I'm going to be there. Maybe we should geek out on guns. And the rest is history.
Yeah.
And it was
another
fucking
convention that overlaps with SHOT Show. I love it. Every single
Well,
convention happens
at the same
as SHOT
time.
Show.
Yeah, it's like SHOT Show, the concrete one, the porn one. I bring that up every time. It's like we should have given away the extra like AWS coupons outside of AVN. It would have been very funny.
I don't want to be anywhere near that hive of scum and villainy. Those people were fucking weird, dude.
Oh, they were fucking weird.
yeah.
Oh,
I could-
like
So
There's
after the auction,
definitely overlap between that and SHOT Show, but
I don't know. It's like everyone at the AVN crowd, they either looked like people who got fucked on camera, or they looked like people who watch people get fucked on camera, and neither of those are a good thing.
So after the motorcycle auction, my friend Doug, he's a elderly Jewish man with the craziest personality of. He looks just like Einstein, but anyway,
That's the guy I see in your feed, right?
maybe he's a antique
This
motorcycle
dude.
collector. Let me see.
Oop. Oop.
Yes, that's Doug.
I was gonna say, I was like, there's no way this is not the Einstein lookalike.
Yeah. So he got the wild idea after we went to a buffet to go to the AVN and People Watch. Not in the AVN, but just get hammered at one of the bars in the hotel and watch all the creatures go in and out of this convention. And honestly, it was some of the best entertainment that week. Highly recommend it.
That's
people
incredible.
watching during SHOT Show, aside from like networking, is the best use of your time. Like,
Oh, 100%.
fuck the product. It is all experiential.
Yes.
Yeah.
We definitely saw some creatures when we were drinking with Caleb of Commando Bond.
Oh yeah, funny enough you mentioned him. He works with Alchemy and Cabot, I believe. Caleb, you're probably listening to this. Call me an idiot if I'm wrong. But yeah, I had a Vesper Martini. I don't really drink, and I have of slight Asian heritage, so I can't really hold my liquor very well. I'm just gonna let you take this one.
What? For what we saw? Oh, yeah.
I remember less than half of it.
I think we've said it before. Nathan, basically every single woman, he was like, they're all sex workers.
Once you pointed out what to look for, and I had enough alcohol in me that every time I saw one aggressively flirt with a prospective client, I would lose it laughing. Like very loud and very raucously, I would just turn red and absolutely lose my fucking shit, and usually it would destroy the prospective sale. I got a couple dirty looks, I remember that much. But
they're everywhere.
They're everywhere. This was at the what? The Cosmo?
Obliterated by the many activities of that week. But
yeah.
So how does one find themselves casually machining a meteorite into a revolver? Like, what's your kind of background, Aaron?
So originally I was a jeweler. That was my first serious job out of high school.
That explains a lot.
Yeah, I made a fair amount of money just horse trading class rings and girlfriend presents and whatnot back in high school. So it started where I made my to-be wife a ring just in welding class out of scrap silver.
Hey.
And a good friend saw it. He's like, well, I want one. Okay, made another, bought a new tool. Hey, I want one. Made another, bought a new tool. And it just sort of snowballed into this like full-time jewelry business I had going on in a garden shed. And it turned into a really cool job that I got right when I got out of high school. I was going to college at the time, and I stopped in at this jewelry store in downtown Monterey. I was actually going to the Big Five next door, but I walked into the store, and there's this gentleman who's now my really good friend, Chris, that helped with the Space Cowboy project. But he was bitching and moaning about the kiln in the back of the shop taking a shit. And I was like, oh, I can fix that. And he's like, well, do you want a job? So that turned into a 5-year professional jewelry apprenticeship. So I was making engagement rings and custom pieces pretty much every day. And then I got a little bored of that and started looking for another job. I just wanted to mix things up. I was a mechanical engineering dropout. I went for about 2.5 years and then got fed up with all the woke bullshit that they're trying to push in the schools, and found out I can make more money just starting a business anyway. So I worked on trying to start a business and working for other companies in the meantime. But anyway, this one of the coolest jobs that I saw when I was hunting was an electron tube manufacturer. So this company called CPI, they were like a contractor for Varian building radar systems and whatnot. they needed somebody that had experience micro manufacturing in precious metals. And I had the engineering background. It kind of crossed over a little bit. So I sent in a job application. They're like, fuck yeah, you're our man. And so I worked on military radar systems for a couple of years and learned how to run laser welders, do machining, read prints, make prints, all of the kind of tedious and precise jobs that cross over into machining and engineering. Yeah, and it ended up being really great. I worked there for maybe a year and a half until I just got tired of the commute. It was up in the San Francisco Bay Area, so you're talking 80, 85 miles each way, which was ridiculous, but totally worth it in the long term, just for the knowledge that I picked up there. And I did eventually find a job that was closer to the home that was micro machining. So that was just running these teeny tiny lathes for making radar components locally. They were a subcontractor for that company. But about halfway through a year, I was ready to finally start my business. And I'd just been working out the details on how I was going to do it for the past couple of years, and started making cylinder heads for antique motorcycles, like racing cylinder heads for teens and 20s board track racers. And that's mostly how I figured out how to make a gun out of meteorite, I guess, how I would explain it.
No, I love it.
Roundabout way.
No,
Yeah.
So that company's Loveless Performance, right?
Yes. So I was building cylinders, heads, crankcases. I guess still am. And to this day, I don't exactly do contract components anymore, but I do complete motorcycle engines from scratch. I pour the cases, pour the cylinders, do all the machining in-house. Probably 80-90% of the machining in-house. And that's my main bread and butter. But right now I'm having one of those, I guess you'd call it autism hyperfixation over the past couple of months, going down the rabbit hole with night vision, and that might turn into something. Yeah. But anyway, the jewelry really crossed over into making the gun too, with all the gold work. There was a bunch of casting and machining as well. So it was like using both backgrounds. So anyway,
never underestimate how far autistic hyperfixation will take you.
Yes.
It's a superpower. This week's episode is brought to you by Two Grunts Inc. Two Grunts Inc. is a veteran-owned and operated rifle manufacturer crafting firearms with professionals and prepared citizens in mind. All of their parts and components are developed, tested, and manufactured to perform using the most standard of mil-spec 5.56 ammunition. Purpose-built work guns is their motto, and rifles made to last is their ethos. With high-end components and materials used in all of their rifles, like their 4150 CMV nitride-treated barrels utilizing a 223 Wild chamber and a 1-in-8 twist, optimized for both M855 and M193 ammunition, achieving 1 MOA or better with most manufactured mil-spec ammos. Bolts made out of 9-310 super alloy steel and carriers made from shop-peened 8-620 steel, maximized for increased toughness, wear resistance, and strength. Each and every part has been meticulously thought out, deliberately tested, and expertly manufactured and installed. Each rifle also comes standard with a 45 or 90 ambidextrous fire controls, gas buster ambi charging handles, and many other high-end functional parts. Check out their website, twogruntsinc.com, that's TWO as in two, and GRUNTS as in rifleman by trade, INC.com, to purchase one of their rifles, or other parts for sale. Use the code CBRN, that's Charlie Bravo Romeo November, to get $50 off your order. That's CBRN to get $50 off your order. Be sure to also check out their Instagram and YouTube at twogrunts_inc to learn more about them, their rifles, and their other products. Once again, that's code CBRN to receive $50 off your entire purchase at twogruntsinc.com. Thanks guys for listening. Now let's get back to the show. Introducing new show sponsor, Medusa Targets. Take a break from mindlessly shooting into trash and elevate your training game with targets that are not only detailed, but hilarious. Medusa Targets believe in quality without compromise. When you purchase from them, you get night vision compatible, high-end targets that include complimentary training materials, multiple hitboxes, and designs that enhance your journey as a shooter. Their philosophy revolves around targets serving two purposes: sharpen your focus into a weapon, and to aid your training rather than hinder it. Our personal favorites are, of course, the Art and War Pack, which features 6 Redcoats, 6 Loot Drop Larrys, 6 Ron Jeremy hostage targets, 6 Killmonger Totally Not Klaus Schwab targets, and detailed firearms drills. You can see much of Nathan's handiwork amongst the Medusa target range, guaranteed to get lost from your shooting group. It also includes a reusable water-resistant pouch for added convenience. If it ain't raining, it ain't training. Medusa targets offer a wide range of options, from shoot and no-shoot targets, competition targets, range games, zeroing targets, and much more. There's something for every type of shooter, guaranteed to turn heads and spark envy. And here's an exclusive offer for our audience. Get a wild 40% off your Medusa Targets order by using code ARTandWar40. You can find the code and the website link in the description of this episode. Once again, that's ARTandWar40 for a fantastic 40% off discount on your Medusa Targets order at MedusaTargets.Shop. A big thank you to Medusa Targets for sponsoring this episode.
And thank you, Nathan, for making me take the test.
Oh, is it because of me that you took the RAADS? Can we talk about the score?
Yeah, I don't know if I should be proud or ashamed, but I
Oh
have
wait,
the
did you beat Nathan?
I have the Seaburn high score.
He has the high score. I think there's one or two people in the Discord that have broken 200. You handily broke 200.
It's I got my second.
BR, you need to.
My second favorite caliber. I scored 223.
Based.
Holy fuck.
BR, you need to huff some fucking fumes ASAP. You need to get on our level.
Yeah, is it too late to rub you on your head?
I've already had all the brain damage I can spare, dude. If I knock my head again, I'll be incapable of editing this podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
opening my fucking computer.
I think it's time to get you, I don't know, like quadruple vaccinated. You
Yes,
gotta take
yes.
more boosters.
I will sign up for every single Pfizer trial for the next 10 years, and then maybe I'll have a 223.
Yes.
Yeah, that you might get the bad kind of autism where you're just completely nonverbal and take your pants off around women. Dude, there's this autistic kid at my junior high school who was the bad kind, like not the good kind of autism like you want, but this guy full blown, like buck teeth, eyes going in slightly different directions, like Coke bottle glasses.
Just a bit.
Oh boy,
fucked up.
Just a little fucked up. He had a crush on another girl in my school. What was her name? Mallory. I'm not going to dox any further than this, but one day he just like runs after her after school, catches her, pulls her pants down, and runs away.
Incredible. Romance isn't dead.
Romance is not dead. Then a couple weeks later, because he didn't really get in trouble as he is a little out there.
He was just trying to communicate clearly with what he wanted.
Yep. He gets on stage at the junior high school talent show, and then does a public apology in front of everyone. And she got real like, I'm sorry, I just really like you. I didn't mean to pull your pants down. She got really red and left, and that is like a core memory from my childhood.
Where is he today?
I don't even want to know. Either like dead in jail or just like working at Walmart or something.
Or he's like a fucking special forces, like,
dude,
absolute wild killer with 20 bodies.
If he's a killer, it's like prostitutes. I think this guy was like
done with a rock.
120 pounds, soaking wet.
Oh no. No, we had one like that at my middle school. I guess same as junior high. It's middle school. It's not junior high. It's not high school. It's the middle school. But whatever. That determination's always confused me. But we had a kid in last couple years of middle school. He would do one-handed like basketball throws from like across the fucking gym, and then he would also have like every single lunchtime he acted like a dinosaur. He would like go around screaming at people like a velociraptor, and he collected rocks, and he made like little grass nests on the edge of like the school field during lunch breaks, and he would like militantly defend them from anyone, and so everyone knew he was like clearly fucked up, and they would go and try and steal the egg rocks, and then he would like he would throw the other remaining rock eggs at them, and like definitely fucked some kids up doing that by throwing the rocks at them. It was quite the scene, but very entertaining. It's how I knew not all children were created equally. Some were found
Some were
I
special.
feel like
interesting.
I was definitely that weird growing up. Absolutely, 100%.
Oh yeah.
And then by high school, it's like, well, he makes pretty nice rings. He's all right.
Yeah.
He was a bit weird when we were younger, but he's all right now. He'll give you a
I
good
feel
price,
that
dude.
you go one of two ways, I think, which is just like you kill prostitutes or you make guns out of meteors, and there's not a lot of middle ground.
You're one of the good ones, Aaron.
I sure hope so.
I met his wife. She's normal.
She did
Nice.
she did score on the spectrum though when she took the test. I want to say she got like
Okay,
150 or
the kids are
160.
safe. Hell yeah.
Based.
The kids are gonna be all right.
Yeah, if I didn't find another autistic woman in high school, I probably would be single today. I mean, it's just yeah.
Oh, is she
weirdo,
your high
I
school
guess.
sweetheart?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I picked her up when I was 16.
Dude, that's awesome. She's fucking great, and she builds night vision.
Yes, she's got small fingers. The Cambodian child that I had tied to the workbench finally chewed through his restraints. So she's been covering for me.
It's just so hard to find good help these days.
Yes, you need those tiny fingers.
and the complete ignorance of what human rights are.
Yes. Still trying.
My
to figure
problem
out
with Cambodian children. Yeah.
I was saying I'm still trying to figure out how to import another one.
Those restrictions are getting tighter and tighter. Apparently, if the box is breathing now, they stop it at customs.
Yeah, the last storage unit that I ordered fell off the container ship. So yeah.
My problem with Asian kids is kind of the same problem I have with Asian people in general, which is if you eat one, you're hungry a half hour later.
I don't know where to go from there.
Speaking of, my Asian family is, well, my Asian and my white family, I think a factor of 1 to 1, is visiting me in Idaho in August, and I want to just think of the most schizo things that you can only do down here that I want to bring them to, like setting off grenade launcher. That's something you could do in Canada. Like that's normie enough. I don't think that they'd get anything out of it. But
yeah, even in Canada, you can drink and throw axes, but
yes.
Only in America can you drink and shoot guns.
Yes.
Only in America can you just turn prairie dogs into absolute paste while you're blasted on like 8 White Claws.
Yes. Shooting prairie dogs with a 37 millimeter flare launcher.
Oh, I've gone prairie dog shooting before, and like I had an AR-15, and the guy I was shooting with had an AR-10. I was like, really? You're gonna waste 308 on prairie dogs? Like, it's not waste if it's fun. Like, you're a sick man, aren't you?
They carry the plague. It's fine.
The guy was, I mean, obviously, they take out like a prize horse or something. That's a lot of fucking money. So the dude was vicious about it. Just blowing them a fucking way. And the poor bastards, you eviscerate one, another one pops up. It's just like, oh, what's going on? Bang! Oh, what's going on? Bang! Poor little fuckers.
And you don't even have to hit it. Just the bullet going by, the shockwave will kill it. Have you seen the video, the 50 caliber, the BMG going past the deer's head?
Deer.
But yeah,
I
eyeballs get sucked out of its
I saw
head.
that, but I thought that was Fudlore. Like I thought that was actually just a really clear hit, because they've tested it since then. Like the shockwave off around close to ballistic gel, animals, things like that, and nothing usually happens. But in that case, what they thought it was afterwards, going back, was the bullet simply didn't, like, it was just clean through and through. It didn't slow down, didn't fragment, didn't dump any energy into the deer. Just went through one eye and just kept going.
There's no fucking way.
I figured
50 just went clean through.
You poke a deer with a 50, it's turning into red mist.
Yeah.
I'm curious. I genuinely do not know. I would believe either or, but I was under the assumption that the no contact hit was proved wrong.
I don't know, because I've seen that video too. Like, that's like a classic at this point.
Yeah, I remember that too. But there's a lot of human beings that have survived very close misses with 50s.
Demo ranch, we need it done.
Yeah.
Like if you know fucking Matt, go nuts. But I have seen the test done in ballistic gel, and the ballistic gel is unmoved. The meateater.com can 50 kill a deer without hitting it. This is something that. Oh yeah, okay, I see. A taxidermist and I did a full necropsy of the doe's head. There's no internal damage to the brain cavity or bone loss to the skull. One of the strangest things to happen to me as well. I'm not sure what happened in this video. Compared with a bullet passing through water or tissue, the ballistic pressure wave of a bullet passing through air is usually 2,000 times smaller, between 1 to 5 pounds per square inch. 1 sec, it's trying to get me to subscribe. Yeah, there are physicists talking about how it couldn't have actually happened.
I'm trying to pull up the deer video right now.
Quinlan points to the moment in the video where the deer drops to the ground. A puff of material comes from the deer's head, which Quinlan believes is proof that the deer was struck by something. It's undeniable that something hit the deer. From a timeline standpoint, it seems consistent with the shot being fired. The deer reacts physically, drops, and was consistent with getting knocked out. The leading alternative explanation is the projectile traveled through the eye sockets of the deer without causing noticeable damage. Such a shot looks possible in the video, but Quinlan also believes the deer's head would have shown greater signs of trauma.
Yeah, I would fucking think so.
Have you seen when you shoot a watermelon with a 50, there's nothing left.
There's absolutely nothing left.
So I'm looking at the video right now, and the deer even still has its eyes.
Weird.
Like, there's blood coming out of the eyes, but like the eyes are still in the head. So I don't fucking know, gang. Oh, we lost Nathan. Jesus, there he is. Nathan.
Your cat pull the plug.
Sorry, no, my foot did. Sorry, not quite sure how that happened actually. But yeah, I genuinely don't know, and I'm not. I don't have a 50 cal, nor do I really have any like immediate need to own one. Though I would. I think if one fell into my lap, that'd be fucking awesome.
If one fell into your lap.
Yeah, I mean, when I was in Maine, a buddy of mine had a 50 caliber like AR upper that was a breech loading 50 cal. And we just shot logs with it. It was pointless but fun.
I
would even take one of those pipe 50s.
Yeah, that thing it felt like I was gonna die. Like it felt janky, but it worked. You know, we put like I want to say 2 or 3 boxes of 50 cal. That Israeli shit, so you know it's good. That shit's designed to turn like Palestinian children into fine mist.
They're coming straight for us.
They're coming right for us. That's my purse. I don't know you.
I don't know you. That shooting 50 cleans your fucking sinuses, I learned.
It's fun. It's a lot of fun.
I've yet to fire a 50. I fired a 416, which is like the California bitch equivalent of a 50.
What is that?
The Barrett 416. So in California, you can't have a rifle round bigger than half an inch. It's considered a destructive device.
Oh, it's like that in Canada now too.
Yeah.
How new is that?
I want to say
at
least
416
20 years.
Barrett, 452 MTAC bullet. That looks kind of savage, actually.
It actually is. Yes.
Yeah, just like a next down 50 BMG.
Yep,
that's badass. Apparently, Mr. Barrett himself will not sell any rifles to California, including law enforcement.
Well, we'll see if that holds now that they've sold to an Australian, if they still give a shit.
Yeah, fair point.
But
But
no,
Australia
that
is
is a
lost
very
anyways. A friend of mine's messaging from Australia. She's like, "Oh, Nathan, you were in the army. I'm about to join so and so and so." And from our conversation, it's like they can't even own gel blasters anymore. Airsoft's been gone forever.
Seriously?
what?
Yeah, airsoft is illegal in Australia.
I mean, that doesn't surprise me, but the gel blasters does. Like, honestly, you could tell me they
I
banned butter knives in Australia, and I'd be like, yeah, that makes sense. They're even people joke about the UK, but holy fuck, Australia, a giant desert island, which has all sorts of deadly fucking creatures and shit, and all sorts of reason to own all sorts of firearms, is way more cucked than a rainy little island. Which, to my knowledge, you can still own 50 cals in England.
Yeah, and like 22 ARs, which it's cucked. It's really cucked, but it's still something.
Yeah.
They could still have pump action ARs. The only reason I know that is that there's a guy with a YouTube channel that goes around blasting all the invasive camels out there. Have you seen that?
Yeah, I mean, like
No.
based.
They have like a wildly massive camel population there, and all the cattle ranchers are getting yeah, they're losing all their feed and water and whatnot over it.
Because the camels, they take the water and they never give it back.
Yes.
I feel we've gotten so off track with Aaron Loveless and Loveless Performance and everything you're about. Remember when I was just like, "Oh, you're the most interesting person we've ever met." By the way, a deer got killed once by a 50 cal Navy.
Now I'm just thinking about if you cut a camel's hump in half, is it like a cactus where there's water inside there?
I would imagine it's probably
the safest
water.
the safest way to find out is to just assume, find a camel and start carving.
Yes.
Like, don't open a book, don't Google it, just go out there and get first-hand experience.
Yeah.
It's the only way to know.
Yep.
That's actually like, it's such a fucking weird rabbit hole to go down, but I found out like a whole lot of kids these days are ending up with like seriously flawed research for school, because instead of like, researching shit, they go to like ChatGPT or some kind of AI, and they use that as their Google, and they just straight up ask AI for like, to help them with their research. And if anyone who's used AI at any length knows, sometimes you'll just make shit up.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
you'll ask it a question, it'll come back with an answer, and you're like, I know, like, I was asking you a broader question, and you just cemented like knowledge I already know, but like said it matter-of-factly incorrectly, like severely wrong.
Yeah, I asked the AI how much a ops core maritime weighs, and it told me something like 430 kilograms.
I mean, like based.
Yeah.
Like, excellent, good to know.
Is
Thank
it really
you for
that
accurate
wrong?
information.
Yeah. Not far off.
Yeah.
There goes the ops core sponsor. Nah, they have contract money. They don't give a
And
shit.
I just got, and this is going to be I am asking any possible radio nerd or someone with arcane knowledge. I just got a pair of OpsCore racks, like the headset. They showed up locally for like $200. They retailed for $14 when they came out. So I jumped on it. I'm like, okay, yeah, fuck yeah, cool. Helmet mounted ear pro, for I don't know, like an eighth of MSRP. I'm going to fucking buy this right now. A seventh. My Asian is not showing. So I got it. Came with a push to talk. Came with all this stuff, and like all of the wiring, all of the PTTs and connectors, and all of that are this weird arcane plugs that are only compatible with OpsCore. Everything is poorly designed. I actually am starting to think OpsCore is just hilariously overrated.
Oof.
Yeah,
Yep.
there is no reason that this headset should have been $1,400. The arms don't make a good seal. The headset itself is really uncomfortable and poorly thought out. It's always on for some reason. There's no off button. You have to disassemble them to change the batteries. There's no aftermarket support. I'm trying to find a plug so I can just like hook a regular push to talk like a Nexus into it. It doesn't exist. Nothing exists. Okay, this is not good listening. Let's move back.
Sorry, OpsCore.
Fuck you, OpScore.
No,
Homies don't let homies buy OpScore.
So Aaron, like, have you been a lifelong Californian behind enemy lines, or is this
Yeah,
is this new?
that's going to change soon. I'm actually looking at coming out to. It's actually changed from southern Idaho to northern Idaho. We're thinking now that we've seen uh, everything north of Cascade is fucking insane. Wife really likes Moscow, but yeah. Anyway,
It's so nice here.
I grew up here, pretty much Central California my entire life. Whenever I leave California, it feels like I've been in an abusive relationship with my state. Um, it's pretty fucked. So yeah, I've got family that have moved to Idaho, and every time we go out there, it's just like going to heaven. Um, and of course, I want to maybe someday get an SOT and start playing with much cooler toys than what we can have here. So that's kind of mandatory at this point.
Yeah, I feel like that's a lot easier than in Idaho than it is in California or anywhere that's anti-gun.
Yeah.
And another fellow freedom refugee. Me and Nathan wouldn't know anything about that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Weirdly, most of the SOTs I know here are in Washington. I feel quite bad for them.
Really? How do they pull that off?
Yeah. I feel like they got in right before everything got really gay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, kind of like having all the toys and then no one to play with.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like all the I mean, there's plenty of like serious gun guys still up in Washington, but fucking hell, guys, like,
yeah,
it's got to be rough.
It's like northern Washington, no one seems to give a fuck. Like everyone's pretty resigned to the fact that everything is being run by the cities, and it seems like kind of rural upstate New York where everyone ignores the SAFE Act allegedly. Because I know people who are riding around with ARs in their trunks and whatnot and getting pulled over, and the cops do not give a shit. It's pretty unenforced for now.
Well, if the cops have gone into your trunk, you fucked up very badly.
Yes. But I mean, hell, even the back seat. A fellow that I know has like this is even a fellow that I know, and this happened months ago. This is an alleged thing that I'm not even saying to be coy. It's one of those stories that goes around. Local member of the gun club's driving around, speeding at night with a loaded AR in his back seat. Just because, there's no nefarious reason. Yeah, in Washington. Gets pulled over by a local sheriff. He sees it, and the guy just steals the mag. He just takes it out, clears the mag, doesn't say anything about it, gives him a ticket for speeding, and steals the full 30-round magazine of M855.
What a fucking prick. That was his like corrupt cop bribe right there.
Yeah.
He's like, this'll do. On your way,
yeah.
pig.
Yeah, this is $20 worth of ammo. Fuck you.
Yeah, I mean, lose your ammo or get 10 years. I'll take the first one.
Yeah, it's a pretty cheap bribe.
Yeah, it's a very cheap bribe, but still, what a fucking dick.
Yes. God damn. So how does do you have a background being into guns and all this stuff to be aware of this space in the first place, or was this kind of like a later life thing?
I'd say later life. Growing up, there weren't really. I mean, we had a shotgun, I think, in the house, but not much else. We didn't actually go out and shoot. First time going shooting, I was, I want to say, 8, 9 years old. Went to one of my dad's cop buddy's house, and he had a backyard range, and I thought it was the best thing in the world. But it was always no guns. And then once I turned 18, I kind of went crazy with it, and it's I absolutely love firearms. You can't not, I guess.
It seems to be kind of like if you're an engineer minded kind of dude like yourself, like vehicles, bikes, cars, planes with you seemingly, and guns, like all that stuff seems to kind of find a home quite readily in you guys' interests.
Yes, very much so. Loud mechanical things, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
jet
I've noticed a
engines.
big
That is my autism hyperfixation.
yeah. I've noticed a huge overlap between like the machinery world in terms of like cars, motorcycles, automobiles, stuff like that. Um, weirdly, watches and guns.
Huh.
Like there's a massive overlap in people who are into one of those things. Usually, they're into two or three.
Aren't you a watch nerd, Nathan?
A little bit. I used to dabble. I just liked how they went together. Like
Yeah.
the mechanics of something that's hand winding and all that. It tickled a certain autistic part of my brain. So I used to buy old Swiss like 17 jewel wind up watches on eBay and work on them and sometimes break them. But it
Hell
was
yeah.
fun. It's a fun part of my life.
I was buying those old
This is how I
Soviet
know I'm
watches
not
for a while.
autistic. That's sick. Those are particularly interesting. Like you're talking like proper USSR like era.
Yes. My grandfather gave one to me when I was a kid, and I thought it was the coolest thing in the world. And I wore it for probably, I don't know, 6 months until it broke. So that I'm sure that old Soviet build.
Oh, was it a Vostok?
I don't remember. It had two MiG 17s flying away from each other on the front. If that rings
It's a
bell.
Vostok.
Okay.
Those things are fucking hilarious and they're a lot of fun.
Huh. That's how I know I'm just team brain damage. Like as much as people like insist on joking about like me also being autistic, I'm like I wear a fucking basic bitch Casio that I pretty sure I got from Walmart because I beat the absolute fuck out of it, and I will wear
Oh,
it.
dude, Casio's great.
Oh yeah, no, it's the same thing I'll wear for like training in the field as I will basically on date night. I do not have a nice
Yeah.
watch.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing wrong with that. My mind jumps to when I was younger. Just my army watch was the same thing. It was like a Casio 10-year world time, I want to say. Like something really cheap and cheerful with a rubber band. And it lasted. I'm pretty sure the battery eventually died and I just got it replaced. But they're $30 on Amazon.
Yeah.
The only real money I ever spent on a watch was when I first got into scuba diving. I bought one of those Garmin Descents because I was like, "Oh, cool! It tells me how much air I have in my tanks and if I've been down too long and yada yada." I used it for like, I don't know, 10 or 15 dives, and then I'm like, "Fuck this! It's too much to think about." So it sits in a drawer.
I feel like that's a lot of people. That's I don't wear anything that even takes a battery anymore. Kind of for not even any reason. I just don't like it.
Yep.
Is the Loveless Performance is still like the day gig or?
It's my full time. Loveless Performance, I guess I'm just doing one-off jobs and what do you call it? Just like manufacturing contracts for bigger businesses right now or production companies. I got rid of all my auto parts. I actually spent all night last night changing my website over from automotive to night vision. So still in a big transition process right now.
Oh, so it's still gonna be Loveless Performance as your like night vision company?
Yes.
That's pretty cool. That's a hell of a shift. So are you completely like slowly closing down the bike part of everything and the automotive part?
For the most part, yes. I think I'm just going to do single big ticket items that take several months to complete versus just doing parts piecework when it comes to the automotive. Because there's
going more like custom bespoke.
Yeah, there's a lot more money in doing big, expensive one-off pieces. From what I've noticed anyway, and it's more fun. Doing production work is very tedious. It's just the same motion over and over and over again. And I can't do that. It just drives me crazy. So, yeah. But what I've done the past 2 years is I've built 2 or 3 high-end motorcycles and then brought them to the Mecum motorcycle auction, and then it's sell those, and then it's the money for the whole year. And so I just stick around, build more bikes, engineer and figure out new products, and then do the same thing the next year. But actually, this past year at Mecum was bit of a joke. I think I lost money. I built 3
Oh, fuck.
motorcycles for it. I had a 29 Harley race bike. I had an 18 Aero Thrust, one of those old turn of the century bikes with the propeller on the back, kind of like it looks like it came out of a Ghibli cartoon. Yeah, but that thing sold for maybe,
Oh yeah, no, I know what you're on about.
yeah, it maybe sold for a quarter of what it should have. So anyway, I'm trying to get away from the auctions now and just do like contract jobs for people. Like, I want this bike built and I'll knock it out.
Yeah, yeah.
But I've been building these lately. I've been building a motorcycle called a Cyclone. It's from the early teens. They were way, way ahead of their time. They're dual overhead cam. It was basically a Ducati engine, but built in the teens. And they would do 130 miles an hour, no problem. So I've spent the past about year and a half reproducing every single part that's on those motorcycles and building the bikes from scratch. They look like absolute jewelry. They're really pretty bikes. I've wanted one since I was probably 13 years old. So, yeah, I'm really hoping to start producing those full time, I guess. Doing that in the night vision.
Yeah, yeah. That's fucking sick, dude. So like a lot of these parts, like when you have to you're recreating a lot of stuff from scratch, right? Or more or
Yes.
less from scratch.
Yeah, I try to use as much off the shelf parts as possible, like valves, push rods, gears if I can find them, if I can get them out of a catalog. But for the most part, 90% of the motorcycles built from scratch.
Just because that shit is not around anymore.
Exactly. Yeah.
So like what's that process look like? Like what if you have to recreate a part to fit into, because like presumably there is some original parts, right?
Yeah, there's in this industry, people will take 1 or 2 original parts and then build 90% of the bike and call it a restoration. Because
Fair.
original stuff is just magnitudes over in value. But I try to be as transparent as possible. But anyway, I take 3D scans of the original parts if I can get a hold of those. Some of those I just work from old patent drawings and whatnot. So I'll take a 3D scan and then I import the 3D scan into my CAD software. And I just run that off an iPad. I use Shaper 3D. It's super easy to use. And so I'll build the parts around the 3D scan and then print a test part just to make sure everything lines up and fits like it should. I mean, 2 out of 3 times I'll screw up and get a dimension wrong. So it's real nice to have the parts in your hand, even if they're plastic.
Yeah.
And this goes for months until I'm happy with the design. And I can go 1 or 2 ways. I can machine the part out of billet. Most of the time when it comes to the CNC machining work, I'll send it to a quote sourcing business that'll shotgun it to a handful of different companies, and then they come back with machining quotes to get them hogged out of a big solid chunk of metal and heat treated. And the other way, which is a lot more fun but way less time efficient, I will 3D print a casting pattern. It's just a positive mold out of plastic, and I'll paint it and polish it, make it look real nice. And so you press that into a wet sand mix, I guess is the easiest way to explain it. And when you take out the plastic part, it leaves a perfect cavity in the sand for you to pour the molten metal into. And I'll take that raw casting after I pour the metal. I've just got a little cheap eBay foundry in my backyard that I use for melting scrap aluminum. I usually buy junkyard rims, like just old car rims, and then I'll go rent a log splitter from Home Depot and crush them up Rest in peace, log splitter.
Based.
Have you killed some rentals?
I've damaged the blades. I try to sharpen them and make them nicer. I mean, nice again, but sometimes. Sorry, Home Depot. I was really poor when I was doing that. So anyway, I just take this aluminum confetti and then load it up into the foundry and pour it into the sand, and that's how I get my rough parts that I machine manually on the mill and the lathe afterwards.
That's fucking badass.
That is awesome. I think it just kind of disappeared for me for a little while. Now my camera doesn't work at all either.
It has been working for a minute.
Yeah, it's been like that. I turn it off and on again, and it's just black.
Huh.
Wondering if the cat walked across it and disabled something. Either way, if you can hear me, that's all that really matters. But yeah. You can see me trying to toggle it on and off here. Either way, you know what I look like, so it doesn't matter.
I certainly do. No, so with that whole process, I understand why it's like 2 to 3 bikes a year.
Yes, it takes a while, and there's a lot of times that you get 90% of the way through building a bike, and then you realize you fucked up on a dimension and have to essentially start from scratch. Like if you get, say, I've had it where I don't account for shrinkage. That was mostly when I was first starting off, and I'd pour a handful of cylinders and then get ready to machine them and get them set up on the mill and then punch through to make all the holes for the print. And I noticed they're like way just a fucking mile off because the metal shrinks a ton, especially with aluminum. It's like, I want to say 5%. So yeah, it was a big learning process. Most of the auto parts, the aluminum casting anyways, I used to farm all that stuff out. And then I started building these superchargers from scratch, just these big aluminum compressor housings for old flathead Fords. And yeah, that's kind of how I had to troubleshoot my way through all the casting.
No, I know there will be people listening to this who are into that shit because, like, those are skills that kind of, they're like on the brink of going out of existence. Like, so few people manufacture, well, period, or manufacture like that anymore.
Yes, one thing I really want to bitch and complain about is how our high schools are getting rid of their shop classes. That's just it pisses me off so much. I had the last year of our welding and auto shop program, and then for liability reasons, and we had a handful of dumbass administrators saying that our kids need to go to college. No, fuck you. At least
that's
half.
The only way you'll ever be employed.
Yeah. Half the kids that I was in shop class with, they went straight from school to a welding job. I mean, working on either oil or gas or some kind of fab shop, making, I mean, starting $40, $50 an hour.
Yeah.
So
can't do that.
And
shit
then I've
anymore.
got friends that got their bachelor's degree and then start working at Starbucks afterwards. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? So the fact that these people are getting rid of the shop classes, and it just, don't even get me started. But I was very lucky to have had an extremely good shop machining and welding program at the high school I went to. I guess shout out Mr. Forget. I love you.
Based.
Yeah.
No, it's so rare that like kids' natural aptitudes for things like that are nurtured. Usually it's just like, oh yeah, well this was fun. Anyway, so about college. Like, let's talk real jobs. One where you have to stare at a computer for 8 hours a day. None of this hands-on bullshit.
Yes.
Like,
yeah,
motherfucker, if the grid goes down, I want to still be useful.
Exactly.
I do think not to schizopost too much, but kind of going back to remember that episode we did with DJ a while ago about the state of modern schooling and how fucked it is.
Yeah.
Have you ever noticed across the board, it's not just like lowering education standards and everything else, but they're also removing all of those classes that teach you hard skills, like everything from home ec. And like what I remember when I was going through junior high and high school, you could learn metalwork, woodworking, you could learn how to fucking sew, which was kind of neat. I actually took that course and it was
I
it
learned
was
to
fun.
sew in school.
Yeah, none of that stuff exists anymore, at least not where I was and not for anyone that I ask. And like on one part it's, oh, budget cuts, so and so liability, and the other part it feels a little more nefarious, almost like removing all of the very basic, this is how you fend for yourself as an adult skills. Like I still use a lot of the skills that I learned in shop and in everything, even fucking home ec, to this day. And it is bizarre and very weird to me that they've removed them entirely.
Absolutely. I guess another reason that they started doing away with shop classes is they require, even in the industrial arts, the teachers to have college degrees. Like, how many people do you know that go to college, start welding, or go into a welding program, and then want to teach kids? It's just a mix of skills that you don't see blend together.
Yeah, it's like I could be paid a lot of money, or I could be paid very little money and not put my skills to the same level of practical use.
But dude,
Yes.
that fucking gets into the same problem, because you have this cycle of academics who to teach these days in 90% of the country, probably more than that, you need the equivalent of essentially a master's level degree. It is very competitive to get into. It is very expensive to get into, and you have to spend. Generally, you need your bachelor's first, and then it's another year or two of effectively like higher education, honors or master's level, to become a teacher on any level.
Yes.
So yeah, who the fuck does that and becomes a gym teacher or a shop teacher? And also, who the fuck does that to make money? Because the answer is very few, and the answer is also probably like people who are ideologues, people who can't do anything else or got into this because of ideological reasons. And I hate that. Maybe this is me just being like very tinfoil hatty. I see BR kind of like looking off into the, oh, Nathan, you're going on your schizo rant again. But
No.
like
My eyes are streaming from fucking allergies.
Oh, dude, you're fine.
I'm here. My vision is just water.
It's okay. But yeah, no, it kind of freaks me out because they've created this situation where academia is like it's being taught by academics and it's self-perpetuating. And it seems obvious, like academia is taught by academics, but you come to the problem where let's use the East Coast and where I'm from for an example, where there was like one school you could go to become a teacher, and I knew someone who went there, and it was entirely just fucking propaganda. It was like I saw her go from being like a regular girl from a small town like Prince Edward Island with like relatively normal and mainstream views to being like, oh yeah, let's give all the kids hormone blockers, and like here is every single stereotype of like what conservatives think that the far left is, but let's make it real and let's make it horrifying. And I'm not going to be like, oh yeah, like let's get into identity politics, gay fucking bullshit, I don't care. Well, but like no, it was real, it was nightmarish. It actually was the stereotypes of like let's force all of this stuff onto students. And but before I didn't have a lot of opinions on it. After seeing this girl do legitimately a year of training to be a teacher, I'm like, oh nope, I guess the conservatives were right. I guess like all the moms yelling on Twitter about the brainwashing in schools, they were correct. This is fucked up.
This is why we don't have welders.
This is why we don't have welders. And it was genuinely like kind of scary. And this is every single teacher on the East Coast. A vast majority of them had to go through this specific program at this specific school. But also, this is Canada. I don't know. That's just to me, I think that the needing to train teachers for like to a certain degree, like to get the master's level degree in teaching and having all the prerequisites for it, you're going to ensure that you get a very specific type of person every time. And I'm not going to like say definitively there's a correlation, but look at modern education standards and what has been happening. And I'm not going to say again that there's a correlation, but look at it. Fucking look at it. I wonder why.
Yeah.
I-
Yeah, man.
Yeah. That's one of my schizo rants. I think like the founding of the Department of Education was one of the many moments that the West started to collapse.
I don't disagree.
Yeah.
You see people wearing graduation caps with I survived indoctrination without becoming a liberal, or I forget the one that I saw, but it was along those lines. And that's the whole reason I dropped out. It's I want to learn about engineering. I remember I had like one serious physics class about the time that I dropped out, and the other one was a psychology and a gender studies. And
Ha!
I couldn't. Yeah, there was no opting out either. I remember the gender studies class, or was it human sexuality? I don't remember. It was one of those two that I took. Um, they
Yeah,
would
it's
have
mandatory.
yes, and they would have a different transgender guest in every week, and I'm like, what does this have to do with engineering? I don't.
Engineering.
Yeah, I don't care if that's how you want to live your life, but I just want to build things out of metal, and this has nothing to do with it. You're taking my money.
Yeah.
So I just decided I'd study on my own.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't blame you. Honestly, it's like so much of this stuff in terms of hard skills you can learn on your own. And you've kind of proved that. Like,
YouTube certified.
where you got in your business. You're YouTube certified, but there's actually something tangible. Where I know, on the other hand, like academically trained electrical engineers and whatnot who don't know their head from their ass.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm not saying that school is useless. Like it is a place where you can go and learn things, but you can learn things if you are motivated and able to discern, fact from fiction, and like knowledge is tangible, is what I'm trying to say. Like you can either do CAD or you can't. It's objective. You can either like build things or not, or you can do it poorly. That's subjective. And regardless of whether you went to school for it or not, these things can be done well and they can be done poorly.
Yep.
And it's no secret that a lot of higher education is just like money making.
A lot of people they don't know that you could just go out, buy a fucking iPad, start drawing 3D pictures, have them made. Congratulations, you're an engineer. You just you turned a picture into a chunk of metal that does a purpose, and you didn't have to pay $80,000 in tuition to get there. So
obviously this
Oh, I was just saying, it seems like common sense, but it's not for some reason in this society.
Well, I mean, it's kind of to our conversation. Like everyone's been taught that you have to go and get the piece of paper that says you can do that. Whereas, I think that's been pounded into at least our generation's heads so much that that's just the purveying like thing. Like, oh, I have to go and do it the official way. But I mean, clearly, like, what was your experience like? First getting jobs like in engineering without the piece of paper. Like, how were you treated, and how did you get hired without it?
There's a lot of old timers that, at least in the company I was in anyway, that didn't have formal engineering training. So it was actually, if you could show that you had good hands-on skills and you could identify certain fasteners and do print call-outs and whatnot, they didn't really care. Of course, there was a couple of douchier engineers that would kind of look down their nose
Had the piece of
at
paper.
you. Yeah, but as long as you knew what you were doing, you can get a job. When I first started working at that radar place, I was a technician, I guess, and it as soon as I could show that I knew my hand from my ass, they started giving me higher level work to work on. So I guess just get your foot in the door and show that you know what the fuck you're doing.
Yeah.
But honestly, don't, if you think you can make shit, you don't need a job. Start a fucking business. Entrepreneurship is the best. It took way too long to figure out that I don't need to work for somebody that's getting 90% of the dollar that I'm making. Anyway, that's my rant, my disorganized rant.
No, it's an important one for people to hear, especially in this
Yeah.
fucking economy when it's like, okay, well, do I choose wage slavery or do I take a risk and bet on myself? And like take an educated bet, but like if you think you've got what it takes, like give it a go. Like clearly,
fuck yes.
Like how long has it been since you had a boss, Aaron?
Probably 5 years about. When I first quit, I guess I got a little frustrated working for that last employer. They wanted me to do some work that I wasn't too proud of. It wasn't I guess the end use part would be unsafe, and I had a problem with it. So I grabbed my toolbox and I walked out, threw it in the back of my truck, and I had like $700 in my bank account at the time. So it was a huge risk. But now that, I guess what I couldn't wrap my head around at the time was I don't have the money, so I can't quit my job. But there's a reason. You don't have time, so you can't see yourself making the money outside of a job. But the second you quit, you have all this fucking time to make money. And it took a while for my brain to click. I was like, oh, okay. So immediately the first thing I did before I could start making parts is I took that $700 and I also took out a credit card, and I went and bought a couple of really fucked up motorcycles on Craigslist, gave them a real quick rattle can restoration, put them back on Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace, and tripled my money. And I did that 4 or 5 times until I had some startup capital to start sending out parts orders to have stuff cast or machined. Yeah, so time is money. If you can quit and have that time, you can figure out how to make money if you're motivated enough.
Yeah. Like, how long were you, because you said you grabbed a credit card to make that happen. Like, were you in debt for long doing that? Or was it like a pretty quick,
it wasn't,
and now I'm back?
It actually wasn't a lot. It was, I want to say I put maybe $3,000 or $4,000 on the credit card, and sold a handful of bikes. And then 6 months later, I had a stable business that was in the green. So,
holy fuck, dude, that's awesome.
That's awesome.
And you're, from what I understand, starting to with the Cerakote shop. Now that you've done your big jump on investing in the tooling, it's starting to get pretty good for you, isn't it, Nathan? You guys are plenty busy.
Oh man. Yeah, it's kind of great, and it's nice to be able to just take ownership of myself. I mean, I've been working for myself basically, God, since early COVID. Now I think about it, like doing
to varying degrees of comfort.
To varying degrees of comfort. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. It's been getting better. Weirdly, through all of this, it's been getting better. It's actually been getting better, I think, on a steady climb upwards for the last 3 years. And there have been dips, when groceries and gas get really bad, when everything gets a little weird. But most of the problems for having to tighten my belt has mostly been my rising costs as opposed to the business doing poorly or well. I really like working for myself, and I don't think that I can ever go to being employed by like another person or entity again. I don't think I can.
Fuck yeah. It's
Yeah,
once you've tasted it.
Yeah, it changes everything.
And Harbor Freight is your friend.
Harbor Freight's my friend.
This
So
keeps
is
coming up.
I love Harbor Freight. It's like my favorite thing about America. Dude, I got their little 1/4-inch driver set. It's called the meme tool. If you search on their site even for the meme tool, I use that thing fucking every day. I'm now a Harbor Freight shill. We are being paid by Harbor Freight. Use code ArtandWar10 for nothing. It probably won't work. If it does work, it's got nothing to do with me, but I wish it did because I love Harbor Freight.
It is so Chinese and so American at the same time.
At the same time.
Damn. No, it's. I just have to cap the Cerakote shop thing with the fact that the other day, I was saying to Nathan, I was like, should we be plugging this on the show? And Nathan was like, no, we are too busy. It's like, sick. Okay.
Yeah, we don't even have an FFL. We can't do guns. We're just doing stuff. Like we're just doing stuff for companies that I know and like send us some parts and just send them back. But primarily it's just, a friend will walk in with, I don't know, grips and be like, hey Nathan, can you do this? Yeah, sure, whatever. I'll be honest though, I do prefer the art. It tickles my brain more.
Yes.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it forces me to think. That being said, sometimes I just had a nightmare client, which I'm going to complain about on the air. Because I don't give a fuck.
Anyone we know?
I'm just going to put their name into the chat here. Probably not. He's a nightmare client who's come to me for like 6 or 7 different things. Yeah, I just put that name in the chat, and someone who you'd not recognize. I've done like 6 or 7 things, as well as an instructional manual for him. But like constantly doing revisions that go against his revisions, and then going back, and the big thing is now, and entirely only because of this man, sometimes when I take jobs, I'm like, okay, here's the invoice. Like if it's like a big corporate job, or it's important, or it needs to go in taxes or whatever, I'll send an invoice. In this guy's case, I will send an invoice before sending him like the finished art. Like I'll send him a picture of the finished art and be like, okay, I'll take the watermark off this and I'll send you the thing after you've paid. And he just replies with like, oh, well, I shouldn't be on your blacklist. Motherfucker, you are the reason for the blacklist. Like I've had to chase this guy down cumulatively for like 2 or 3 months to get paid. Like all the times together that he's just like taken the finished work and left me on red and just not paid for it. And just fucking rude ass. Okay, I'm done complaining. 95% of the people who hire me are just wonderful, fantastic. This guy's just like perpetually negative and also does not pay me. Yeah.
I was
we love
really
those
happy
clients, the ones that don't pay.
With that head badge that you designed for that restoration I was doing. That came out so fucking nice.
Thank you, man. I'm really excited to see that. I hope it makes it onto the thing that we cannot talk about.
Oh my god, you're making me fucking bleep things just for fun.
Yeah.
Dickhead. Nathan just likes to make sure I'm awake when I'm editing.
Yes.
I wish I could talk about the show so much because it's so fucking exciting. But
it's going to be so cool.
We can at least allude to big things coming, right?
Yes. Yeah, I'm NDA'd. But basically,
Up to the fucking eyes.
Yes. So I designed this motorcycle that starts with shotgun shells. It's a 36 Harley. You put a shotgun blank into it and you pull a lever, shotgun shell goes off, it puts a charge in the rear cylinder and starts the bike. And this
fucking awesome.
Dude, this fucking absolute legend of a human being saw it.
God, I wish that we could say who it is, because it's so fucking cool.
I would love to name drop. It's a household name. Just know he's
a household name.
Yeah, he's an absolute legend.
We can't even hint.
No, not at all. But he asked me if I wanted to build a bunch of cool bikes, and I said fuck yes. And it's the whole thing's being recorded and filmed. So
Yeah.
Anyway, that's something that's in the pipeline. Probably, I don't know, a year from now. We can talk about it later.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, are you okay speaking about? Have you started filming anything yet?
Yes.
So, I mean, like, not talking about the specifics of the show, but like for you being kind of like a behind the scenes, like, building shit in your garage and kind of doing stuff like that. How's it been having to be in front of the camera?
Nervous as fuck. I am not a very social person. Under camera I freeze up a little bit. So sometimes, I don't know, I'll have a Coors Light or two before I go on camera, and it'll make it a little easier. But yeah, otherwise, once I get going, it's if I get into the like autism of it, talking about technical specs, then I can ramble. But if I just have to come up with filler or talk to other human beings, I struggle.
You just need some some like activation words, like a sleeper agent, and you're like, oh yeah.
Yes. Let's talk about early American motorcycles. So anyway,
No, that's cool as hell, dude. I mean, like, you were saying one of those bikes from like 1918 or whatever is what got you into bikes, like when you were 13, or no, you were saying it's one of the bikes that you've wanted since you were like 13.
Yeah, so this is I got a long story on how the old bikes started.
Yeah.
If we got time for it. But
Absolutely.
I was grounded for pretty much a year in high school. And
what did you do?
Oh, it's not important. Just stupid.
Okay.
Kids being kids. But I watched right when it came out, American Pickers.
Oh, hell
and they bring all these antique bikes out of barns, and I was like, those look so fucking cool. They're just super simple, artsy motorcycles, and I wanted one, but they're huge money. So what I ended up doing is I built one of those Whizzer motorbikes, the old 1940s pedal bikes with a motorbike engine on it. And because that was like the cheapest thing I could have for the money, all the parts are being reproduced, so it was a few $100. But anyway, I start riding this
in high school.
Yeah, I start riding this thing back and forth to school every day, and I'm going past an older gentleman's house. He's got this old beat up Victorian down the house. Down the street from us, and he flags me down. He's like, "You want to see a real old bike?" So we went behind his house. This guy could have been a serial killer, but he ended up being the nicest human being. And he pulls this 1929 Harley out from underneath his house that was turned into a generator back in the 1930s. So he asked me if I wanted it. I said, "There's no way I can afford that." He said, "Give me $200. So, yep. So I went home and I borrowed $100, and I took a bunch of silver coins to the pawn shop that I'd found metal detecting and whatnot, and went back with the $200 and bought this bike project, and proceeded to buy and sell this bike on probably three or four different occasions. I just finally sold it, I think for the last time at the motorcycle auction earlier this year.
It just kept coming back to you, or
it did. I'd sell it, and then really need a new bike project. I'm like, okay, call the guy. Can I buy that back? Yeah, but I'd want like $500 more than you sold it to me for. Yeah, no problem. Get it back. And then every time that I've sold this bike, it's been in the same state that I got it back in. No one ever worked on it. But the first time I sold it, I really needed some money for this. I saw a 1918 Harley, a beautiful old project. It had everything. It was really complete. It just had some like tank rot and cracked forks and just shit that I could do in about a week or two. And sold the bike. The guy that bought it, I ended up becoming very good friends with, Brett. And then I got this 18 Harley, and 2 months later, 2 or 3 months later, I don't know, it was fairly short time afterwards, did the motorcycle cannonball on it. So it was a coast-to-coast antique motorcycle run, like 4,000 miles, all back roads. Bike has to be 100 years or older.
Damn.
So I shipped this old bike. I actually got it started the night I brought it home after sitting for decades and decades. But I shipped this thing to the East Coast. I met it in Maine and then rode it from Portland, Maine to Portland, Oregon.
Holy fuck.
Bike blew up twice. I picked up a little tiny, it was a jeweler's lathe, or watchmaker's lathe, actually, and made some bushings to adapt a Harley-Davidson single connecting rod to a modern panhead piston. And I did some MacGyver shit in a hotel room with this little lathe, made an absolute mess of the hotel room to get this bike working again. But yeah, it ended up being about 3 weeks, but I made a good majority of the miles. And then I ended up doing the race again 2 years later, Canada to Mexico. But yeah, that's sort of the snowball trail of the antique bikes.
That's fucking so cool. I love all the
awesome.
side quests involved.
Yes.
Like the selling silver coins you found metal detecting was like entering the rabbit hole.
I can't keep on subject, so sometimes I'll when you get Nathan and I in the same room, if you can't get through one story, like, you're just fucked. It's never going to come back again because we've picked so many other side quests.
Yeah, that tracks.
Was it Nathan, was it Aaron that you were telling me about the nuclear waste sites?
No, they're
the uranium mines. Yes.
Can
Yeah.
we talk about that?
Of course. You want to
Please.
start at the beginning?
What? Yeah, what the fuck is up with these? So, I mean, you mind giving us like a quick overview before we dive in?
Yes. Let's just start at the beginning. So I found out that you can get mines from the BLM for pennies on the dollar, fresh out of high school. I guess I was reading an old book called Minerals of California, Pemberton, and it was talking about this place in Fresno County where you can find emeralds. I'm like, well, that sounds fucking bitchin'. So I went on a road trip with my buddy Chris, who's that jeweler I was telling you about earlier, and we hike up this mountain, which I later figured out there's a road that goes to the top, but I was just Google Earth educated and couldn't tell what was going on. So we start out at the bottom.
What was the adventure
like,
on a road?
Yeah, it was like a 3,000 foot gain to get to the top of this mountain where the deposit supposedly was. And we're climbing. I want to say 2 or 3 hours to get up there, and it's 100 degrees out. We're out of water, fucking miserable. And I stumble on this pile of rocks, and the rocks are just studded with crystals, tourmaline and quartz crystals. I'm like, well, look at that. That's pretty fucking cool. So I start grabbing these rocks and putting them in my backpack, and I move 2 or 3 rocks, and there's a jar inside this rock pile. And I open it up, and it's an old mining claim location notice. It's paperwork when they stake these claims. So that just kind of triggered a rabbit hole of researching mineral rights and how people acquire these claims from the BLM. And I eventually, I did all the paperwork and got my hands on that mine that we stumbled on right there, and we were bringing home backpacks full of tourmaline crystals. Well, later we found out you could just drive a quarter mile from the claim on the other side of the mountain. So yeah, so I start buying just random mines that I find. One of them was a opal opal and chrysoprase mine in Central California. Really, really pretty gemstones. And then I sort of went through a rabbit hole reading about early uranium mining and prospecting in California, and the price of uranium was skyrocketing. I'm like, maybe it'd be I don't know, that's kind of cool. And there's people paying like huge money for the crystals. Um, Met a bunch of friends that were really into it, just the mineral collecting of it, because the uranium-based minerals, they're just wild, crazy colors. They're really pretty. So I just had like a little display case that I was collecting each mineral variety. Um, so yeah, I got 2 or 3 of these mines off the BLM, and still trying to figure out what the fuck I'm going to do with them to make them profitable, because I don't necessarily want to sell the minerals because there's like liability there after doing a bunch of reading about it. So now I'm just sitting on these mines. And it's one of those things like step 1, buy uranium mines. Step 2, step 3, profit.
Based. But the
question
idea of
mark is
just
always the
like
hardest part.
for that price getting land rights anywhere, as long as you don't have a permanent structure on it, is fucking amazing.
Yeah, you can bring in a trailer, and you can file a plan of operation and buy a bunch of wood and go out there and build a miner's cabin. The only thing is getting the plan of operation signed off by the BLM. I went down that road trying to do a cabin at the Tourmaline mine, and eventually gave up because I'm not a lawyer. I don't know how to do all the forms and whatnot. So I learned just enough to get a useless chunk of land.
I don't know. I don't think any land is useless.
Of course,
necessarily.
Yeah,
but I think
these,
it's pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, most of them, it's like you have to off-road 2.5 hours from the closest road to get to a peak that you have to bushwhack with a machete for another 2 hours to get to the spot. And you're like, yay, I'm standing on the 10 acres that I have mineral rights to. Now what?
Huh. And have they like really gone out of their way to basically make these places like, you know, legally unlivable? Like you said, that no permanent structure, right?
No permanent structure. They did have a process about, I want to say, at least a decade ago, where you could file for a land patent. So if you've been working your mine for a few years, you'd file this land patent, and then the BLM, or the state, I'm not sure exactly what entity, would transfer this land into your name for good. So you just start paying property taxes, and then you could build your home on it. But they've made that process essentially impossible now. It's still in law that you can file a land patent, but the BLM is just ignoring applications, which is, it kind of pisses me off.
Shitty.
But yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. You think it's like malicious, just like trying to, I mean, I question how safe these places are. I mean, is there any like real danger to these places, or?
Yeah, I guess the latest one that I acquired, it has a vertical 300-foot shaft that just goes down to nothing. It's just a hole in the ground with a vertical drop.
That's pretty dangerous.
So there is safety concerns, but I don't think that's why they did that. I think it's more of just keeping people from acquiring more like national forest land. They're trying to keep that balance of government owning everything. It's not like homesteading days where you could just go out and get land from the government anymore.
Yeah. And all of this, like you said, they're just trying to keep it sort of government wilderness and not start transferring that out to little parcels, because it'll kind of, I mean, if that became a popular thing, that would really set a precedent for very cheap, like almost frontier like priced land by modern day equivalency and price.
Exactly.
Like there would be a run on that shit. No, I don't care how many 300-foot drops are on the property. Like people would be like, fuck it, I'll just tell my baby not to fall in there.
Yes. And one thing that the BLM actually started doing recently is they're going out on people's claims and capping their mine portals, their tunnels, their shafts. They're just without permission of the claimant going out and welding bars over their mines, which is just absolutely insane. People are cutting them and putting their own doors on them, but yeah.
So government is deciding that they know best with these kinds of properties.
Exactly.
Huh. That's a fucky place to be. And all of these places you've got are in California, right?
Yes. I don't know how that would transfer to where you guys are at. Have you researched that much, Nathan?
I've looked a little into it, but not enough. Wasn't anything super close to me, but down further south, I saw a little bit, but I haven't really done enough. Yeah?
Yeah, you don't have a ton of BLM property right where you're at. I did look at...
Yeah.
I did look around the Boise area, and there's a lot of claims out there. Like, it would be hard to... The problem is, if you file for a claim on a piece of land, there has to be mineable minerals there that are marketable. It's just one of the caveats. You can't just pick a random piece of land and then file a claim on it. I mean, you can, but you're not supposed to, and they can call you on your bullshit, and then you've paid all this money for nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't want to say I hate the BLM.
Yeah, you're gonna get the wrong crowd involved.
Yeah. But all government entities are gay and retarded, so.
Agreed.
Huh. Well, another weird route to property ownership that we have covered on this show. Thank you, Aaron. Very cool.
Of course.
Squat government land. Take it for yourself. Who gives a fuck?
Something, a little non-life hack, more like Mad Max life hack. Like,
yeah.
Guys, if you're near public land that you think is gorgeous and is would make for a good homestead one day, eye that up, know a good way to get there, and tell absolutely no one about it. Maybe bury a cache of supplies out there. And if the grid falls apart, go and make a little humble homestead out in the middle of nowhere. Fuck it.
Yeah, actually.
Right? I was doing that in northern Arizona all the time.
Just hide all your shit hit the fan bags in the bottom of the mine shaft. Put a rope up top so you can just pull it up when you need it.
Yeah.
Honestly, I've been to some spots of the desert in fucking New Mexico, Arizona, where it's like, oh, no motherfucker is ever gonna find this shit. I don't know if you guys have ever seen, you come across, a deer that's fallen down a fucking pit in the middle of the desert, and you just see, just the skeleton wedged in there. It's, fucking terrifying, because you're like, oh, that could be me if I fucked up on my four-wheeler. But,
oh, yeah.
That shit, there's all sorts of spots where you can just hide shit and no one will find that ever.
Yeah.
Yep. You could just... some of these mine shafts you walk past them and they smell like death because so many things have fallen inside and couldn't get out. There's one that there's one we call the hellhole. It's in New Idria. I think it's the old San Carlos mine. Don't go there. But anyway, you drop a rock down this mine shaft, and it's like a full 10 seconds before you hear it hit the ground.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
It just smells awful?
Not that one in particular. That one's just one of the terrifying ones. But my brother, crazy bastard, there's a ladder that goes down the hellhole, and he climbs down this ladder, and he decides that his professional gas detector is going to be a Bic lighter. If the lighter doesn't...
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, I know I'm just glad that there wasn't methane down this hole, but he starts going down. He makes it maybe 150 feet down this hole, and he's starting to feel a little bit woozy. So he pulls out this Bic lighter and strikes it, and you can't get the flame. So he's like, okay, bad gas, climbs back up. Yeah, but I've since started wearing one of those gas detectors when I go inside old mine shafts. Just you won't even notice it. If you're sitting there huffing and puffing because you're tired and hiking, the gas is going to catch you off guard, and you're going to die.
Yeesh. That shit is terrifying.
But really cool. It kind of like
it is cool.
Spelunking scares the shit out of me, like the absolute shit out of me. I do not want to do it. But there's something. Of course, you fucking do. That tracks. That is very in character for you.
Have you seen the video of the guys that are standing on top of the mine shaft with the grate on it, and they drop a burning rag down the mine shaft just so they can watch the light go down? Well, they didn't know there was a bunch of perfectly mixed methane gas at the bottom of this hole, and it blew up and sent both the guys flying.
Really?
Yes. So you got to be real careful about that shit.
That's the thing about like exploring abandoned places. Like, you never know quite why it was abandoned, unless you've like really done your research. But like urban exploration out in the desert and shit like that, like, you know, the children might yearn for the mines, but children might also die in the mines.
Yeah.
There's a fantastic example of that that's only about an hour and a half from my place that I have a mine right next to. But it's the New Idria mining district. And the place is so fucking toxic. It was an old mercury mine that the water is blood red that comes out of the creeks there because there's so much methyl mercury in the water. And
that's
then there's
sick and awful.
Yes. And there's another, it was an old holding pond or mill pond, I'm not sure, but the water's like, it's beautiful. The water's like a turquoise blue, but it's just a blend of like arsenic and mercury minerals and other kill you substances. It's since been declared a Superfund site.
Of fucking course.
I was worried I'd have nothing to talk about.
Oh, dude, no, it's great. It's fantastic.
Yeah, we're at an hour 45 almost.
Yeah. Fuck.
You want to tell us about your first All-American 4th of July?
Oh, dude, Aaron brought me out for I've never had like an American 4th of July, and this motherfucker shows up.
Is this your first proper 4th of July?
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
He shows up at my office with our mutual friend Matt and everyone's wives and a whole box of tri-tip like barbecue, like a full barbecue. They brought it, and we went out to the middle of nowhere with night vision, a grenade launcher, and fireworks, like custom 3D printed 37 mil rounds.
Yes, for
legal
reasons,
with fireworks.
It is a 37 millimeter flare launcher. You can buy them. You can get them shipped to your door, and they are a lot of fun. Highly recommended.
They are
10 out of 10.
super fun. Yes, don't look up the launcher Pope.
Yes.
Don't
do that.
Write that down so you don't look it up.
It'd be very bad if you put a 40 millimeter barrel on a 37 millimeter launcher. You can't do that. You shouldn't do that anyway. It'd be bad. But yeah, no, we drove out to just like a gravel pit and just shot 37 millimeter homemade fireworks into the air, and it was fucking awesome.
Extremely based.
It was so American.
We got this amazing picture of Matt shooting with a firework exploding in the backwards at the range with the Land Cruiser in the background with his nods on. Who took that? I want the full-sized so bad.
Yes, ask Matt. He has it. He's a talented photographer. I'm pretty sure he took it on a fucking cell phone. I have no idea how.
And right before we went out there, or day before we went out there, we turned Nathan's carpet into a factory We played with each other's tubes for a solid hour, 2 hour.
We really played with each other's tubes quite a bit.
And Nathan learned how to collimate.
What does that mean?
So when you install tubes in a housing, they're just a little bit off. So if you slap the thing together, look through it, your eyes will eventually bring the two images together, but it will give you a headache after a while because your brain's constantly trying to compensate for them being crooked. Well, the factory lenses, they come crooked on purpose so that you can correct for that. So you rotate the diopters until you find a sweet spot, I guess. And you could use a fancy $20,000 machine called a Hoffman to do that, or you can look at a light that's really far away and just bring them to your face really fast, tweak it a little, bring it to your face really fast, and tweak it. And eventually, I mean, it takes maybe 15, 20 minutes to get it perfect, but it's good enough for what we do anyway.
Yeah.
Compared to 20K's worth of equipment, I'll say so.
Yes.
Yeah. It is really cool. I had some uncollimated night vision before we actually did the thing, and it gave me such a headache so fast, just seeing two images that my brain could not overlay on each other. But that's going to be a concern that you're going to have soon.
Yes. And you're still learning how to use your the purge gun.
I still have not managed to purge that thing.
Mm-hmm. You just have the wrong nipples, I think.
Well, we got to play with tubes and nipples a little more.
It's the best. We love comparing our tubes and nipples.
Man, is this that homosexual 2A content I've been hearing rumors about?
Oh no, that's really bad there, BR. We can't do any of that. It's bad for the community.
This shit's far too homosexual.
It's far too homosexual. We should call out the influencers that say we play with each other's tubes.
Nathan.
Christ, guys, like, lighten up and have some fucking fun. Not everything has to be about being a militant gay, like, run around in your
A militant
fucking
gay end sentence.
Yeah. Oh no, we just need beards and to run around our fucking overlanders and talk about the Constitution. Fuck off.
I mean, dude, the most dangerous killers on this planet that I've talked to are some of the gayest dudes you'll ever speak to.
Yeah, it's like
they're not actually gay, but they've touched a few cocks and slapped a few asses. But they got bodies.
It's only gay for balls.
It's only gay. Only exactly.
Oh fuck. Shit. On that on that note, Aaron, is there anything else we should share with the people before we start to wrap up here?
Not that I can think of. This was fun.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
No, likewise, dude. It was obviously a pleasure to meet you in Vegas, and a pleasure to chat with you now, and looking forward to seeing you again. You're gonna be in Idaho, right?
Of course. The 9th.
Fuck yeah. Okay.
Fuck yeah.
Yep. So,
Come meet us all in
yes.
in
Nathan,
August,
plug that
August
shit.
9th. August 9th at Fernan Rod and Gun. August 9th from
Where is it, Nathan?
Fernan Rod and Gun. FERNAN.
I know, but where is that?
It's in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho.
There we go.
CDA. We're going to be doing a thing. The plans are coming together, and as of now, we have a confirmed booking. It's initially on the 10th. Now it's the 9th because they were booked out for the 10th. Times TBD. We will have that very soon. We will have a flyer very soon. Lots of people will be there. Cloud Defensive, Course of Fire. What were those? All sorts of people. Last I saw the list, it was like 10 different companies are on board, and Aaron will be there also.
Woo! We're gonna
come
play
meet
with
Aaron.
each other too.
Fuck us. Hell yeah. Well, on that note, we have but one last question for you, Aaron.
Dad advice?
Dad advice.
Change your fucking oil. If you don't change your oil,
Useful.
your car is gonna fucking break, and you're gonna contribute to disposable society. And fuck you if you do that. So keep your old car alive. Use it as long as you can. Don't go out and buy a new car every year or a new cell phone. Yeah, I guess that's it.
Yes, I agree
Based.
with that so much. I hate disposable society. I'm going to use that. I'm going to use that more.
Yeah, run your vehicle into the ground like God intended.
Yes.
And then throw the car battery in the ocean, also like he intended. Those
Yes.
eels need recharging. Save the planet.
Based.
Hell yeah.
All right,
But yeah,
well,
thank you for coming on again. We will
Yes.
we will see y'all, anyone who can make it up here in August, and we'll touch some tubes.
Yeah, we're actually giving people like quite a bit of notice that we're doing something in person. Usually it's like basically a week at best, but you've got
Yes.
a whole month. To,
We've got a whole month.
If you're
Well, there'll
within
be giveaways.
traveling
There'll
distance,
be raffles.
yes.
We're going to raffle off Haro Sun shirts.
Oh fuck yeah! We used to have some Haro Sun shirts. Oh, Haro Preach. God, we'll have a whole pile of stuff to give away.
Yeah, it'll be good times. We'll be showing off sponsor of the show, 2 Grunts ink rifles, so you'll be able to see their fighting rifles in person. And yeah, lots of other cool guys are gonna be present, showing off their wares.
I agree. I'm excited.
Hell yeah. Alrighty. Well, until next time, everyone. Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.